blades back on the mower. Get my softening it up back. Get on the bolt here. So it's got a couple of guide pins on it. I'd show you if I had the space here, but you just got to line it up with the guides. So you can't put it on back to front. Put it on back to front, it won't cut. We'll put the sharp side on the wrong side. You want it to rotate so the blade cuts into the grass, not the front side of the blade. That's what those guides are for on the mower. Up really tight because you don't want the blades coming flying off while you're mowing. That would be bad. That should be tight enough. Now I'll just check how the oil's going. It should all drain out. Should drain out full. Yeah, it's not even drip anymore. I've got all of it out. Now you just stand it back up, and I'll show you if I put these down. You can see. I'll just show you what the oil looks out like that I've drawn out of the sump. Hopefully you can see there. It's I'll try and. If I can sort of move this, so you see the black liquid in there? That's the oil. When your oil goes black, it's dirty, and that stops it from lubricating the piston as efficiently. So if you don't change your oil, you eventually start wearing your piston out, basically, wearing the bar, scratching the bore, and it just bucks the entire motor. So changing your oil, it's definitely a worthwhile thing because it saves you a lot of money down the track. You know, it can be the difference between a mower lasting 2 years and a mower lasting 10 years. Same principle for car, any 4-stroke engine. So you've obviously got to put the oil back in the mower. The dog is unhappy that I'm doing this. She's worried that I'm around the mower. She doesn't like the mower because it's noisy. But yeah, when you've always got to make sure you're putting the right oil in it. Do not use vegetable oil, as I've seen some people do. That's nowhere near the right oil. You want to use engine oil, and you want to use a specific grade engine oil, and the grade you want to use depends on what mower you're using. For mowers in Australia, particularly in Queensland, they typically say a premium oil is a 10W30 weight oil. I'm using a 15W50 air-cooled motorbike oil. Before you do stuff like that, speak to your mower mechanic, or at least a reputable mower mechanic, so that they can tell you whether or not you're doing the right thing here. But the reason why I'm doing that is because the numbers indicate the temperature range that the oil works in. Ostensibly a 1030 will work up to 40 degrees Celsius, but I'm using the 50 weight simply because temperatures are rising. Ambient temperatures are rising, which means that's the ambient temperature that they work at, not the internal temperature of the engine. The internal temperature of the engine is much higher. But yeah, ambient temperatures are rising, so I'm using a heavier weight oil during summer. Now it's the end of summer, but well, start of autumn. But you know, I'm still not in my area. The temperature doesn't get much lower than 15 degrees when I'm starting it. I mean, if it does, it's a really cold day, even in winter. But yeah, you know, if it's particularly cold, I probably would put the 1030 in it, because the temperature wouldn't reach as high. Anyway, so I'll just pour my oil in. You need your dipstick to be able to judge where the oil's coming up to. This is going to take a bit of oil. I think it takes a couple of litres of oil. This. I think it takes 2.5, so I usually get too, so usually get about 2 of these bottles to a change here. If you overfill it, that means you've got to empty some of the oil out, so try to avoid doing that because you don't want to waste oil. Oil's a valuable resource. Give me a second. Probably should be using a rag or something to clean the oil off, but this is a really old work shirt. I don't even work anymore. So it's having to do these strands in your work shirt sort of makes it look like you've been working. At least that's what I think. Some people disagree. My mother definitely disagrees. Oh, would you look at that? Another test. So the reason why I'm doing this is to check where the oil levels come up to. It's just a bit shy, I think. Getting a different reading, but it's not. It's splashing all the way up all that dipstick. I'll put a bit more oil in it. I think there's a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I say when you overoil it, you got to take the oil out. But if you overoil it a little bit, it's not too much of a problem. You'd rather have a bit more oil in the motor than less. Because less oil means it doesn't lubricate as well. A bit more oil, you know. If it's a lot more oil, it might cause problems. But just a little bit over is not too much of a problem. Certainly, you still got to every time you change oil, you got to wait a couple of seconds for the oil to drip down into the sump, so you can measure it. I've got a reading there. Oh, perfect. So I'll try and show you. You might not be able to see, but at the tip of this dipstick, there's those 2 holes there. If you can see them, you want to get it to the top, just in line with the top hole there. So that was perfect. Why I just got there. Put my oil away. Clean this out now. Disposing of oil is give me a second. So engine oil is a very nasty chemical. You've got to take some precautions when disposing of it. You generally don't want to leach it all over the ground. I'm doing it in the driveway because it's better than, if I make the slides go on the driveway, that's better than doing it on someone's lawn. It will kill the grass and poison the soil. It's generally an environmental hazard, and there are regulations around disposal of oil. But yeah, I usually put my excess oil in a sealed container. An old oil bottle works great. And you've got to find an appropriate facility to dispose of your oil. Typically in a sealed container in Australia, or in Queensland at least. Your council tip, your transfer station, will usually have a section for the oil. Contact your local council, look it up first before you go there. But yeah, there's that. Also, there's sometimes some places privately collected, like I think in Australia, Autobarn, a few motor shops, car shops, have a bin to collect waste oil in, but they've got to be in a sealed container like this, like an oil bottle. So I'm going to put this back in storage to take disposal. Now if you're really stuck, probably not best practice anymore, but if you're really stuck in the old days with the waste oil, they used to oil timber. But so if you've got like a timber ute trailer like I've got, or like a fence post, you can put your sump oil on that. But definitely speak to your local council and relevant authorities before you do that. Cool. And I'll just quickly show you cleaning up the air filter. So the air filter's on On this side here, that air filter is a bit dirty. I really should go get a new one. So you can see it's just a basic foam filter. Typically you can just punt it out. You sometimes see clouds of dust coming out of it, but that's actually got a bit of oil in it. So as I said, you know, typically on the side you get oil in the air filter. That's what that looks like, that black stuff on the filter. The other side's more yellow on this one. So I should probably go into the shop and buy a new air filter for that. But it's not the worst I've done. But yeah, definitely keep your air filter clean. If you get dirt in your air intake, that again goes into the engine and fucks up the engine. So you want to keep your engine clean and make it last as long as it can. Cool. So that's the basic maintenance on the mower. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time on the worksite. Have a good one.